call this meeting back into order for open session.
City Council will now come into a regular session that's specially called Eub Meeting December 19, 2017. It's 1:20.
Okay, item 6 on the agenda is the public comment period. I don't believe we have anybody signed up for item 6.
They all spoke last night, Mr. Chairman.
I did witness some of that on the...
Appreciate y'all working with them.
Anything we can do for you, Mr. Collins?
So, the pleasure of the board, I'd like to bring up item 10 on the agenda. Next, that would be to consider nominating and electing officers of the Electric Utility Board. I'm going to wait just a second for Mr. Conrad to return. Gave you the high sign that he was coming back, and we'll get us back into session. Expecting him to be back by now. I guess we could take up item 11 while we're waiting for that. That would be discuss and take minute action setting the date, time, and place of January 2018 meeting. The reason why that's important is our next regularly scheduled meeting would be on the 16th of January. That would be right before the PUC testimony. So what staff recommends and what I would recommend we do is adopt January 23rd for our next meeting. That's Tuesday the 23rd. If I have my calendar correct.
That's correct. Instead of the 16th.
So I'd entertain a motion to that effect. Okay. Motion by Mr. Boatman, second by Mr. Bell, to set the January meeting for January 23rd, and we'll make sure we get the time worked out later, depending on what all we have to discuss. So with that, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. That takes care of item 11. Now, item 10, consider nominating elect officers of the Electric Utility Board. We'll open the floor for nominations.
Motion that we keep the elected officers that currently serve in those positions the same for the 2018 year.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to leave those officers the same. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of adopting that motion, please signify by raising your hand. All right, that's unanimous. Very good. I would like to say that it is not my intention to stand for chairman after the 2018 year. It would be my intention to, if we have a new chairman at this time next year, because I believe it's going to be important for the transition of this board. I think for those of us who will be going off in 2019, it's important for us to be a resource and to put in our experience, and if we can credit having any wisdom, maybe some wisdom on that, but I think it's also important that we begin that transition to a different board beginning next December. So that would be my intention this time next year. All right, so having said that, let's go to item 7, presentation and discussion of the update and report by the Director of Electric Utilities for his designee regarding customer service, business center practices, procedures and policies, customer concerns and complaints, billing forms and procedures, and LPL staffing and performance. Mr. McCullough.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll touch on a few highlights out of the written report and try to answer any questions that y'all might have. On page 12, there's some information there about how we're using the social media to respond to comments from citizens. We're doing more and more of that. Received another one this morning that we're So we're beginning to respond more and more as the City of Lubbock Utilities as opposed to LPNL, so transitioning that identity over, at least when it's appropriate to be City of Lubbock Utilities, when we're responding to generic utility questions. On page 13, a couple of things there. There's some substation maintenance conducted at Stanton Substation. This was some important work that was done for one of our large customers, XFAB. That substation is one of the primary feeds into the XFAB plant, and I know they're very sensitive to outages, and so we went and did a pretty thorough maintenance job of that Stanton Substation and getting communications with XFAB all along the way about that. I think they're appreciative of the work we're doing there. And then I would just note that we've had a couple of months pretty good reliability. The system average interruption duration index shows that we've had a couple of good months of reliability after so far a pretty bad year overall, but at least we've had a couple of positive months here, and hopefully that trend will continue. A lot of it, it's weather related. Usually we've had 3 miles wind in the last couple of months. Not a lot of interruptions of service. We did have one the other night. Was that you, Mr. Massengale, that texted me? We did have a feeder outage, one of the first ones we've had in quite some while the other night.
You were very responsive, thank you.
And yes, sir, you're welcome. Anytime the council needs to know what's going on, feel free to let us know. On page 15, the meter reader error rate, we've had 3 straight months of really good accuracy, and of course that hasn't come by accident. We focus a lot of training, new management, attention to detail there.
How's your turnover there, Mr. McCollum? I know we did some things to increase the pay and being able to hire and train and keep the people in those roles.
It's definitely helped. We have one vacancy right now. One other thing that we've done is we have our approved number of meter readers, and then we had 2 kind of overhire spots. So it just kind of helps with turnover, and so we actually have one of those overhires filled. So the vacancy is one of those overhire actually right now. So we're fully staffed. The morale is much better, and so I think the changes that were made, the pay certainly was very helpful in keeping staff where they are. So it's been very good.
Is it common for them to work on Saturdays?
They do on occasion. It depends on the workload in that certain week. I think it's typically maybe like 1 Saturday a month that typically will work.
That's all I'm really asking. Just bless it.
The piece they did with the video, I thought was very good.
Keith is kind of our superstar when it comes to that. He's very good in that role. So I think he's done maybe 6 different media spots over the past 15 months or so. But I thought the Fox one was very good.
He's very proud of what he does, and they've done it for a very long time. So it's not to have to.
And he's a good communicator. He comes across really good with this. On that same page, there's some discussion about Cooper. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the rollout of Cooper, which occurred in November, because I think Andy's going to touch on that here in a minute. And then, again, we have this customer service surveys, which we're providing in the board packet now, page 16 and 17. Most of the comments are very positive, at least when they left comments. There was one I was confused by, where they're very unsatisfied all the way across, but then they said great customer service. I don't know if that was sarcastic or whether they're confused or what. I think they hit the wrong button.
I like the one that says smiles too much.
Smiles too much. Okay, so then the construction report, we did have one completed project this month, pump station number 16, which apparently was completed. See the project, water pump station, fairly large load there, and that was completed recently, so we're taking that one off the list. A couple of new ones added to the credit union and a rental place. So pretty quiet month for additions, but we've got a lot of stuff still in the queue, so still pretty positive overall construction environment. That's all I had to talk about, unless y'all have any questions.
Questions from Mr. McCollum? Comments?
I've had a lot of good responses about the new building.
Good.
Just a quick update on that. You know, we did go live on the 18th, so now month. So everyone in the city should have received a new bill at this point in time. And so obviously on that weekend, it's been stressful but an exciting weekend trying to get that going live, and we were able to get it live on the evening of that Saturday, the 18th. The website, the IVR, and of course the statements get printed. The kiosks are in the lobby now; they're operational. If y'all want to go down and look at those or try them out, those have been in operation since the beginning of the month. The only thing we lack in the lobby right now is the iSwipes. Right now, each of the desks or the customer service desks will each have a credit card. Used to, you'd have to, if you had to talk to a customer service rep and then you need to make a payment, you have to go to the cashier, make a payment, and then you have to come back. And so now we made it where you can do it all in one spot. So we're still working on the iSwipe. It's just some technical issues that we're still lacking there. But other than that, everything should be operational. I'd have to say that overall everything went very well. As in any software conversion, there's always a lot of little things that are kind of annoying throughout the way. But you know, we've had success with it. The payments are working properly. That was my big concern, is making sure the credit cards were coming out of the right credit card accounts, the right bank accounts were being drafted and all that. So that worked very well. So we've been reconciling on a daily basis since then. You know, the main thing we've had is a very large increase in calls. A lot of people who were very used to the old website, you know, needed some kind of hand-holding and walking through. Some people who maybe haven't updated their browsers in years and years found that some of the drop-down menus might not work, and so we had to work on some issues like that. You know, we've had a few issues here and there, but there hasn't been one theme really in any issue we've had. We've just had a lot of one-off kind of situations. You know, the website is not perfect today. It's one of these things that we made a decision on this website. Do we want to have historical data, or do we want to start fresh with no historical data? We obviously wanted to have historical data for all the customers. They could see 24 months of history. They could see bills they paid recently. The problem with that, however, is with the old vendor, with all the, for example, all the old statements that are in PDF form, they didn't have any data associated with them that would identify the month or the amounts or anything like that. So if you go on the website today, you might, if you look at your history, you may not see the amounts populated or the dates populated on those historic documents. Going forward, you will see that because those PDFs come with what's called metadata that populates the website. And so even though it's not perfect, all that data is there. We thought that was important for the customers to have that historical data. And so as time goes on, it will look better and better and better and have more and more information that's really easy to look through. Another slight issue that we had was the paperless statements. I know Jerry Bell had that issue, signed up for it day one, and he ended up getting a paper bill. There was a code that had to be corrected, and it's been corrected, you know, after about the second week when we discovered that was happening. So there's little things like that, but overall, we've been very happy. One thing that we're working on right now is I know the new water rate structure will go into effect on January the 1st. So we put out a new bill really at the beginning of December, and we're turning around and creating another new bill starting January 1. And so that is well underway. Actually, the testing and the bill print verification has been completed on the new statements. The weekend before the 1st, our staff will be here to run those scripts and get everything live and going ready, and then the new bill print will begin on the 1st as it's intended. I know we've sent the statement over to the water department, to the city, to make sure they're comfortable with the way the statement's going to look. So just a little bit different. You know, now we're going to be able to have the water block rate structures. Not really any change related to LPNL, but it's water related. So anyway, give kudos to our computer information systems group and the city's IT department for getting all this stuff live. It was an enormous effort. It took a lot of time. We had enormous amounts of overtime for these individuals who were working on this, and they were very, kind of like Keith, who I was talking about a minute ago, who's very proud of what he does as a meter reader. These folks are very proud of what they do for the billing system, and so they were very excited. I was apprehensive. They were very excited. And so I just wanted to point out that group is, I thought it was a spectacular job. So I don't know if y'all had any questions or comments about the Cooper conversion, but open it up to you if you have any.
Are y'all trained up, Amy, on with your customer service reps on with your water bill?
Yes. They're going through the training on that, so day one, they will be ready to answer questions on that. In fact, it'll be a lot easier to answer those questions than what we've had with average winter consumption, and that was very hard to explain. So I think they're all relatively pleased that this is a whole lot easier to explain to the customer.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Have we, Mr. Atkinson, how much publicity have you done around that? Do you know?
We've not done a whole lot strictly through the city. There's been quite a bit come out to us, you know, that we can sure have.
It's probably not a bad idea. I know during the budget cycle, we talked about it a lot. I know there's been some information from you guys. By the way, I think I like your website. I love the little video that explains the invoice. I think it's 90 seconds, and it's, I can understand it. That means 99.9% of our citizens can understand it. There's something. I don't know about Ms. Tasha Harris. I'm not sure she's looked at it yet. We'll need to check and see.
Other comments, questions for David or any item 7? Okay. Then let's proceed into item 8. That would be the presentation, discussion of financial and capital statements, financing options, audits, and financial policies of Lubbock County Light relating to its debt issuance, issues, reserve account fund, and cost allocation, revenue and expense projections, purchase power cost recovery factor, and customer billing and service issue. Mr. Sales, I see you here.
Yes, sir. Well, it's pretty short today. As we're in the middle of audit, we typically don't provide financials since things are still in a state of flux. So I don't have a whole lot for you. As always, start with our rates. Going into October, our rates dipped just a little bit, down to 116.66. XL going into October is 112, but over the time frame, our customer has still saved over $230 relative to an XL customer, and then the survey average is down to just under $107. And our customer has saved over $227 through that same time period. So we are a little higher than the rest of the state. In terms of the purchase power recovery factor, we update you on this every month. In November, we over collected. You can see it here, $2.2 million, bringing our total under collection to $637 or $637,000. So at this point in the year, we expected to have reduced our under collection by $1.5 million. We've reduced the under collection by 4.1. There's a lot of moving parts, as you guys know. I will say we know for sure that it's on the expense side of the equation, so costs are lower than expected. Our revenues are within $81,000 of what we had forecast for the first 2 months of the year. So in terms of the dollars and the error, the percentage error, it's very small on the revenue side. On the expense side, there's 3 things that are really kind of driving it. Volume-related charges on lower demand and lower energy. We've saved about $500,000 through October and November. But the big one is we've received $1.6 million in transmission congestion revenue credits from XL. So, and David, you may have to correct me here. Essentially, XL they buy auction revenue rights to basically own the congestion rights on a transmission line, and they can choose to keep those rights, and if there is congestion, they get revenue as a result of that, or they can choose to sell those revenue rights to someone else, so they can make money 2 ways. What we've seen is $1.6 million in transmission revenue credits is a result of transmission. So they held on to their rights, and they received these credits as a result of that. And then we just receive our load ratio pro rata share. So what does that mean? So we've already received the revenue in November and October of $1.6 million, which makes us in a better position than we expected to be. But if you'll recall, we do a monthly true-up. It's actually a 2-month lag on the fuel true-up. So what that means is we know that there was higher congestion, and congestion is part of the fuel component. So we will see higher fuel costs in December and January. So we've already got the revenue. It's just really just a timing issue. We've already got the revenue from these congestion, but we haven't paid the other side of it in terms of fuel costs. So I think that our under collection will get back more in line with what we expected by the end of January. So with that,
And those congestion credits were much larger. I mean, on average, we get about 400,000 a month for transmission
Yeah.
credits. And it was, he said 1.6 million basically for those 2 months. So you can see how much more dramatically it was above what we would normally see. And it's hard to predict that, where there's going to be congestion, what units are going to be down, things like that.
what lines are down for maintenance? There's several factors.
I think they rolled a 20-sided hit dice.
So,
Once a year, it's got to favor us.
right.
Just temporarily.
I was going to say, wait 2 months and we'll see it true up. So while this looks great right now, I think that it will go back to be more like what we had expected. In terms of audit, it's going well. We are on the second point right there. The auditors have done their field work, both here and at the city, and we're still communicating with them via email. And I'm in the portion of the audit right now that there's essentially the management discussion and analysis, the financial statements and the footnotes. About 98% done with the footnotes. The statements are done, and writing the MD&A, which Andy will review, and then we'll have to the auditors hopefully by the first of the year. So well ahead of schedule on those. And then for our finance committee members, I'm going to be setting an appointment either this afternoon or in the morning to get you guys scheduled for the 6th so that we can present our audit along with David Coleman, the partner from BKD on the audit. And then typically what happens is one of you guys, the chairman, will recommend the audit results to the full board, which will be at our normal meeting in February on February 20th, and then it will go to the council on the 22nd. In terms of the capital program, this is really the only financials that we have. We have moved into October, which is the beginning of a new fiscal year. We have 80 open capital projects. That's a little misleading. We've got 18 projects that we plan to close, but they had some encumbrances at fiscal year end, so they rolled over into October. So most of those will close. So that we'll see that number drop down in the coming months. But you can see with the new appropriations, we got 129 million in bonds, just under 20 million in cash for a total of $149 million capital program. And then you can see our largest expenditures for the month of October. We spent just under $200,000 for a roof refurbishment out at Massengale. Underground and overhead lines are consistently in our larger projects as we're constantly doing work on those. And then the customer service information systems spent about $85,000 as that's coming out of the RFP stage and going into negotiations. I think we'll begin to see that number take up quite a bit as we progress through the year. Chalker capacity upgrade, that's a substation, and then the rest pretty small, but the remaining projects we spent just under $500,000 for a total of 1.2 for the month. So that's all I have. It's pretty short today.
Mr. Conrad?
Chad, I was looking at page 14 of our booklet. And it looks like we were kind of closer to median or even below some of our peers, and then it just seems like we shot up from here. I guess, what are some of the reasons for that, and how can we work our way back down?
Yeah, well, That's a really loaded question. Part of that is we were under-collected going into the season. So our role is to ensure that we are within the boundaries of our purchase power rate model as authorized by the tariff.
And I think James is referring to the chart there that starts.
Which one? Second chart?
Starts about
Yeah.
May of 17.
On page 14,
Yeah. I'm not sure, what month is that our line begins
That's
to
very
read?
simple. And it, May to June, we jump right.
right,
Remember, our base rates used to be seasonal, going
Right.
from winter to summer, and so the base rate would jump up about a penny, which is about $10. So that was one of the reasons in May to June. We've done away with that, so now, we've gone to a year-long base rate, so we won't see that seasonal up and down.
Part of that effect is other folks that still have winter and summer rates. They went down to their winter rates, but we
So,
held the same. And they'll,
6 months from now, 6 months from now, we should see our same rate here, while our competitors have swung up.
Assuming our pass-through rate.
yeah, I was gonna say, assuming the pass-through stays the same, and
Okay.
as volatile as that is, I can't promise
It's just kind
that.
of alarming. You see, we're trending in an upward fashion, and our guys or our competitors are not. But that does make sense, and I do recall it.
And if you'll recall, we've been chasing this under collection for some time now.
Over a year.
Trying to get back to where we should be. I mean, we were below zero. We've got a reserve of $3.5 million. We were below zero, eating into other reserves, and so that also plays a factor. And then, as you're all aware, SPP rates are just more expensive than ERCOT rates, and there's capacity charges that we pay for right now that folks in ERCOT don't. So, I'm not sure if that answers your question or not, but.
It does.
Same song, 22nd verse. Other questions from Mr. Sales? So we're looking at February 6th for the Finance Committee meeting?
Yes, sir. I'll try and do the morning because the Audit Investment Committee meeting is that afternoon, and David Coleman will be here for that, so I'll be sending out an Outlook invite.
I'm assuming we'll be posting that as a board meeting, so anyone and everyone is welcome for that discussion.
Any other questions from Chad? If not, Mr. Sales, thank you. Appreciate
Thank you.
report. Well, we got item 9. So item 9 is consider resolution authorizing the Director of Electric Utilities to execute a professional services agreement by and between the City of Lubbock, acting by and through Lubbock Fire and Light, and Electrical Consultants, Inc., for an on-site engineer and an on-site project manager to assist in engineering and construction management assignments. That is page 25 in your agenda. And in order to discuss that, I guess we need to take a motion. Motion made by Mr. Odom, second. Second by Mr. Bowman. Okay. Discussion on that, I would ask Mr. McCullough to talk a little bit about this proposed resolution itself and background behind it, the professional services agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have this major capital improvement program underway, as the board and council know, to upgrade our transmission and substation systems to provide long-term reliable service to our customers. There's a number of vulnerabilities in our system right now that are being addressed with these upgrades. The engineers that we have on board have really been overwhelmed, and it's getting worse instead of better. We have a number of vacancies in our engineering department right now that we have not been able to fill with qualified, experienced professional engineers that really have the skill set that we need to do both engineering and project management. So we have a need there that we have not been able to fulfill. And there's a number of reasons for that. The job market is extremely tight. There's a number of transmission, distribution, construction projects going on in this area, in Oklahoma, and in the wind farm areas that really is created a lot of demand for engineering type positions. We've had skill sets that we're looking for. So we need supplemental staff to come along and augment our staff to be able to do the work that we need to do, and we need to do in a relatively short amount of time, so we can keep the project on schedule and on budget. So I look at this as a stopgap measure to get us the people we need right away, so that we cannot slow down the schedule or keep us from meeting the schedule. On a more long-term basis, I had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Atkinson last week. We talked about a number of different things that we can do to put us in a position where we can recruit the type of help that we need. We talked about doing a market study that looks at these specific positions. We talked about using headhunters for some of these positions, and Mr. Atkinson is offered his assistance in those areas. So I think we may ultimately be able to get to the point where we can recruit people to help us out with permanent hires, but I think for the short term we need to augment our staff with outside help. The company that we're recommending here is the company that was actually the second ranked vendor, and it was a very close evaluation when we had the RFP for the program manager services, which Black & Veatch was ultimately selected for that. So we think they're a very qualified firm. Mr. McGinnis has had experience with this firm and is very comfortable with their ability to perform the services that we need. So this recommendation would get a professional engineer and then a skilled professional program manager, two people that would work side by side with our staff for a period of 1 year, and would help us keep the project on track. Happy to answer any questions.
Richard, you might clarify, I'm assuming it's $1.8 million. Is it just for that 1 year? Is it?
That would be for all if all 3 years were exercised, or the initial term of the 2 additional years were exercised.
So we're talking about roughly $600 or $600,000 a year?
Yeah, 600
for
the first year.
Two folks?
600 the first year with 3% upward adjustment if we
annually.
It's a 1 year deal, so we'd be committing to have these guys on staff for a year. At the end of that year, you have the option to extend it for another year and then another year after that. So it's two 1 year extension periods if we determine that we need to go.
In your opinion, does it, I mean, if you were to go out and get this type of talent, is it worth, I mean, could you get them at a cheaper rate, or would they be $600,000 a year?
Well,
for two people?
the hourly rate that's quoted under this contract is very competitive compared to what we typically pay for outside engineers. It's probably about half of what we normally pay for special engineering outside engineers. But for internal engineers, it's probably a little higher. But the rate that's in this contract includes benefits, travel, all the expenses that it's kind of an all-in rate. So if you hire an engineer in-house, then you've still got to, in addition to their salary, you've got to pay them benefits on top of that, which adds, I don't know what the average is now, 40%, 50%, closer to 40%. So you got a 40% adder on top of the salary. So it's probably still a little higher to bring in outside help as opposed to hiring somebody on a permanent basis, assuming we can find somebody and pay enough to bring them in here. But I think we're just in a bind right now. We need some help to augment our staff on a short-term basis while I'm working with Mr. Atkinson on ways to recruit people. It's going to take some time. That process, market study, is going to take some time. Using a headhunter will take some time. So it's nothing that we can implement and get immediate response on.
Well, David, I wonder, will you make a upfront agreement with them and pay them one time for the full year, or do you pay as you go?
No, it's a monthly payment.
It's actually an hourly basis, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, it's an hourly contract, but we get an invoice from it at the end of the month.
so that 600,000 not only includes if they work, 40 hours a week, it also includes additional time in case they had to work overtime. So that's a max, is what we would expect at that 600.
But you anticipate them to be here full-time for the year?
Yes. And the project manager position, they've already selected the individuals that will do the work for us. He's actually a Lubbock resident, so he, I don't know him, I haven't met him, but the fact that he's a Lubbock resident. We do have a non-compete clause in here, so we can't bring him on for you and then try to hire him. That's wouldn't be fair to consult.
Other questions?
I recommend approval.
Questions, Carl? Y'all understand this is, obviously, you prefer to be able to hire somebody to fill the position. You would still have the issue at the end of the project of the candidate for those positions. But this is something we need to get on the table. Mr. Owens?
This is just a side note question we're talking about. Montana's where that company from Puerto Rico went down there and did the whole thing. This is obviously Montana. So why do those guys come out of Montana?
I think this is a privately owned company. I think the guy just chooses to live in Montana, but they do work all over the country. They've got branch offices and a number of different places.
Other questions? All right, we've got the resolution on the floor. We've got the discussion, so all those in favor of approving the resolution for this contract, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Conrad's opposed. That would be 4-1. Okay. All right. We already covered item 10 and item 11, so that brings us to the consent agenda. And we've got 3 items there. Item 12, let me ask before I figure that. Having read the agenda, is there anything anybody wants to pull from that considered separately? It's a separate item. All this earlier. Okay. If not, then I'll go through those. Item 12, consider resolution authorizing the purchasing manager to execute a purchase order and Exeter Power Solutions for LPL 500 CM15 kV copper cable biannual project. Item 13, consider resolution authorizing the director to execute a professional services contract with SGS Engineering for professional engineering services related to electric substation, transmission, and distribution issues. Item 14, consider resolution authorizing the director to execute a pipeline service maintenance agreement with Tucker Midstream Inc. for services related to gas pipeline maintenance and related services. Entertain a motion.
I'll move we approve the consent.
Motion made by Mr. Oates, second by Mr. Conrad. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That gets us to item 15, which is to adjourn. So appreciate everybody.